Good morning, everyone. This is Rani from Arihan College of Education, and I am going to teach you one of your lesson in geography subject. So, please see the pictures given below. What are these pictures? What does this shows? Look at the image A and image B. So, I thought most of you know what are these. So, in next slide we will see this. This is image A. What we call it? We call it as high tide. Now, this is image B. What we call it? Low tide. So, this is high tide, the water level is high, and this is low tide. So, what is the level of water? Of course, it is low. Okay. So, we are going to study today the chapter tides. So, what are tides? I think most of you have visited the coastal areas and sea beach. So, yeah, I think most of you have seen it, or some of you have seen it in Google also. So, we will see what are tides. The regular rise and fall of the ocean's water as are known as tides. So it is the regular means every day like regular rise and fall. Means sometimes it goes up, rise at high level, and sometimes it falls down, and it happens in the ocean. This is known as tides. So it is high tide when water covers much of the shore by rising to its highest level. We have seen the high tide is image also, which was image A. It is low tide when water falls to its lowest level and recedes from the shore. Recedes means move backs. So the low tides is because of the water which moves back. So water when moves back, so the level of water will be low. So here we have seen there are two types of tides, high tides and low tides. So high tide is because of the high level of water, and low tides is because of the lowest level of water, and this water always moves back. Can you guess what are the reasons of high or low tides? We have seen the high tides, low tides every time, but have you ever tried to find out the reason behind it? Just think upon it. So, the reason we will see is it is directly related to the sun, the moon, and the earth. So there are three things here: the sun, the moon, and the earth. And it is also related to the gravitational and centrifugal force that attract interact between them. So don't get confused here. We will learn all these things one by one. So have you seen this picture? I think most of you have tried it. So what here we can see, the person is moving the ball with the help of the string. He is holding the string and ball is attached to the end. So this is the example of centrifugal force. So we will see the definition. What is it? So what is centrifugal force? So this is the force that is felt by an object moving in a curved path that acts outwardly away from the center of rotation. So this is the force. It is felt by an object. Here the object is ball, and that object always move in curved path. So it is the centrifugal force is felt whenever the object move in the curved path, and it always acts outwardly, means you'll always try to push the objects out from the center of rotation. So center of rotation here is palm. So whenever you will move this string, so what will happen? The ball will always try to move away. Means when you will leave this string, the ball will fall far away from you. So you can also try this, and you will feel the centrifugal force, means the force which is acting and pushing the ball away from your palm. And here palm is the center of rotation, and the dotted line shows the curved path. Now, can you think of another example for centrifugal force? So as we have seen the definition also, that it always act in a curved path, and the object always should be moving, then only this force will be experienced. Have you ever seen? So now I think you most of you will be able to answer this. Now we will see the example. This, I think in the picture it's very clear, and most of you have felt it whenever you go for any ride, this type of ride. So what we call it, swing rides. So in local fairs, when you sit in Ferris wheel, you feel that your seat spins and lean outward away from the wheel. So in this ferry, what happens? It moves in a curved path. Curved path means it is a circular path. So what happened when it start moving? You will see that your seat, which was straight, it will now tilt, and it will now what happen? It will try to move away from the wheel. Wheel means here the center, the pole which is stand there in between. So this is the example of centrifugal force. So I think most of you will try, and whenever you visit the fair, whenever you will sit on such type of rides, try to feel the centrifugal force. This is the example of Earth. Earth also rotates on its own axis. It always keep on moving. Because of this we experience day and night phenomenon. So what happened here also, like we are the human being, we can see the picture. One picture is there with for one perhaps seen this show the human being, human body. So as this earth keep rotating in circular motion because of its circular shape, it always try to push the man outward, means away from the center. So here, like we'll see, due to rotation of the earth, earth also gets centrifugal force. So now the question arises here. Why do you land on ground when you jump up instead of floating off into space? Have you ever think of it? Like whenever you jump, you're not moving away from the earth. You are in on the earth only. You're not going in the space. You're not going anywhere else. You're just stick to the earth. So what could be the reason? Now, why do you think? This is the another question. Why do things fall down when you throw them or drop them? Like whenever you throw any ball, why it fall down only? Whenever any fruits which drop down, why it's drop down only? Why it doesn't float and go into the sky? Why? Because there is centrifugal force also. Just think upon it. Now we will learn the gravitational force. The gravitational force, this is a force that attracts any two objects with mass. Mass means with weight. So it always attracts. In centrifugal force, we have seen it try to move away from the center. But in gravitational, what happened? This is a simple, like it is not necessary that object should be moving. It is simply the force which always there and it attracts the objects. It is the attractive force. Like you have seen the magnet and iron that always attract each other. It is same like the gravitational force. That will be the example of gravitational force. We call gravitational force attractive because it always try to pull masses together. It never pushes them apart. So, in fact, every object, including you, like whatever the object you will find around yourself, including you, is pulling on every other object in entire universe. Means in entire universe means the other planet also. Everything, everything try to attract each other. The gravitational force exists everywhere. So here the gravitational force between Earth and the object is many times greater than the centrifugal force. As we have seen that due to the rotation of Earth, we experience centrifugal force. But so here one thing is very important that the gravitational force means the attractive force between the Earth and the object is many times greater than the centrifugal force. So what happened because of this, as I asked you in the previous slide, why the objects do not fall down when we sorry why it's fall down when we throw it when like whenever you jump, why you not float in the space, why you land on the ground. So here, because of the gravitational force between you and the earth and the object and the earth, it always fall on the earth. So see this picture. The lady is there. She will throw the ball, it will fall down. Now one person will also throw the orange, but the orange will fall down. The plane is also like whenever it will fly in the sky, but it does not go into the space. Finally, what happened? It land on the earth only. Now, We will see the factors responsible for the occurrence of tides. So, first is a gravitational pull of the moon and the sun as that of the earth. So, first it is the first example is the gravitational force between moon and the earth and sun and the earth. Now, second, revolution. So, revolution is the rotation of the earth and it is the movement around the sun. So, revolution of earth around the sun and indirect revolution of the moon around the sun. So, why it's indirect revolution of the moon around the sun? Because moon revolve around earth and earth revolve around sun. So, indirectly what happened? Moon also revolve around sun. Third point, centrifugal force generated due to the rotation of the earth. Fourth, as the moon is closer to the earth than the sun, hence what happened here? The gravitational force between earth and moon is greater than the sun. See the picture, see. Here you will see the moon which is on the left side. So moon what happened? There will be high tide that side on the earth where there is moon. That because of the moon's gravitational force. Moon will try to pull the water. So the water will rise high. But on the just opposite to it, on the right side, there will be high tide that side also because of the centrifugal force. So there will be high tide. One is because of the moon's gravitational force and one is because of the earth's centrifugal force. Just remember this. High tides acts in the opposite direction, means in both the direction there will be high tide. This picture also it is clear. You can see the water level high at the right and left side. Now, the question arises here. If there is high tide at 0 degree meridian, then what will be there at 180 degree meridian? I will explain you that 0 and 180 degree are opposite to each other. So in the previous slide, we have seen in image C that high tide acts opposite to each other. Just keep keep this thing in mind that high tide acts opposite to each other, means in both the direction there will be high tide. So here also 0 and 180 degree are opposite to each other. So again see the question, if there is high tide at 0 degree meridian, then what will be there at 180 degree meridian? High tide or low tide? I think most of you have got the answer. Some of you who are confused, for them we will see the answer. What will be it? It will be high tide. Now, types of tide. There are two types of tide. One is spring tide and second is neap tide. In this picture, we will try to learn what is spring tide. So, you can see that sun, moon and earth all are lying in the straight line. So, there are two things which is there related to moon. One is new moon and second is full moon. So from the picture it is very clear that it occurs on new moon day and full moon days. So we will try to see why it happens on the new moon day. So on the new moon day, Sun all like try to pull the earth because there is gravitational force between sun and the earth. And moon also tried to pull the earth because of the gravitational force between moon and earth. So what will happen? That sun and moon both will try to pull the earth. There will be more gravitational force here because the gravitational force of sun and moon will combine, and the combined gravitational force of sun and moon will try to pull the earth. So here we will see the high tide at means the rise of water level will be highest. This will be high tide condition. Now we will see how it happens on the new moon day. Sorry, full moon day. The sun will try to pull the moon because of the gravitational force between sun and the moon. So what will happen here? The moon will come closer to the earth, and earth will also try to pull the moon. So now again here the moon will come a little bit more closer. So here on moon the gravitational force of sun and earth combine together and will try to pull the moon together. It happens on the full moon day. So what will happen? The moon will come closer to the earth, and that's why the gravitational force between them will be more. So at this time the tide will be high. Remember one thing, on new moon day, the sun and the moon gravitational force will combine together and will try to pull the earth. And on full moon day, the gravitational force of sun and moon will combine. Sorry, the sun and earth will combine and will try to pull the moon. So we'll see that uh, the level of water will be very high in spring tide. The second, this is neap tide. So the first here is spring tide. We have seen that sun, moon, and earth all are lying in the straight line. But here, the moon and the sun will make the 90-degree at earth. So what will happen here? When the sun will pull the body, water body, the same time the moon will also try to pull the water body. So what will happen? The water level will not rise high, so the tides are little lower here than the average high tides, and it happens twice in a month. So we have seen two types of tides: spring tide, neap tide. Spring tide happen when sun, moon, and earth lie the straight line, and neap tide happens when the sun and moon makes 90-degree at earth. Now, do the timings of high tides remain same for all days? Means suppose you will visit beach and you will see that on Monday at 12 p.m. there is high tide. So is it necessary that on Tuesday also at the same time like 12 p.m. the tide will be high, or on Wednesday at 12 p.m. there will be high tides? Think upon it. What will be the answer? Because in our previous slide we have seen so many things. Answer will be no. Now the reason is why. Just think why. Okay, we'll see the reason. High tides keeps on changing as the position of moon is also changing while revolving around the earth. So the high tides is not same. It keeps on changing and it depends on the position of moon, because we have seen in spring tide the tides will be high because of the position of the moon, and the neap tide also the tides will be low. Why? Because of the position of the moon. So, and the earth also keeps on changing the position because earth rotate on its own axis while revolving around the sun. So it do not depends on the time, it depends on the position of the moon, the rotation of the earth, revolution of the earth, the centrifugal force and the gravitational force. Now, so in this way we came to know how tides are related to sun, moon, rotation of earth, revolution of earth and moon. We have also learned the forces involved in it, the gravitational force and the centrifugal force. So now whenever you will go and visit any coastal areas or sea beach, whenever you will go, try to find out the these things, how the tides like it's rising high or the tide is low, and what is the day, is it a full moon day or new moon day. So you will come to know the reason of high tide. Uses of tides. We have only seen tides. So I think most of you have never think that tides can be also useful for us. But yes, tides are useful. How it is useful, we will see one by one. First, with high tides, fish moves into the creeks and this helps fishing activity. So it is helpful for the fishing activity. It clears the waste and hence the coast become clean. So ports do not get filled with sediments. Ships can move up to ports during high tides. So high tides also help in the movement of ship. So because of this, we can see the transportation happens. We can see a lot of ships whenever we visit the coastal areas. So during high tide, seawater can be stored in salt pans from which salt can be obtained. So whenever due to high tide, seawater come closer to the uh, sea beach. So what happened? It gets stored in the pans, salt pans. And so it is helpful in the formation of salt also. And we know how salt is important for us because in everyday life we use salt. We use salt in poha, in chicken, everywhere salt is there. So tidal force can be used to generate electricity also. It helps in maintaining the mangroves and the coastal biodiversity. So we have seen the uses of tides. Now, how tides are harmful? Just think upon it. So we will say the reason. The tides, the timing of the high tide and low tides is like it can be known. We can check the time. So whenever you visit in any coastal area or sea beach, always check the times. of high tide and low tides, like whenever it will come. Why? What happened if you will go and high tide will come? It can like harm. It is not good. It is very harmful. And sometimes we have also seen the example of high tides in the our past. It like destroy the sea beach. You have seen lots of things in news came, like it have destroyed the uh, shops, the houses. So it's very powerful. So whenever you visit, just check the time of high tides. And it is very important for swimmers and boatmen to know these facts, because swimmers, when they go into the water when high tides come, so there is no way to come back. It's very risky. And for boatmen also. So whenever you will visit the uh, any coastal areas, whenever or you will go for vacation, always check the time of high tides. It is very necessary. Now, the recapitulation, application, and homework are given in this link. Please try to fill this form. It's a Google form. I hope all of you have learned the tides, the definition, and the reason, the factors behind it. So, whatever we have learned, so in this form, the question has been asked and the activities are given. It is very interesting. Please try to do it. Thank you, class. Thank you, everyone.